Thomas Warrick, now a former Deputy Assistant Secretary at the US Department of Homeland Security, as well as a Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council. Thomas, thank you very much for your time. Let's talk about Joe Kent, because he is the first senior Trump official to resign over this war. What's your assessment of the reasons he's given, and just how damaging will this be for the Trump administration?
Well, good evening to you and to your viewers, and Ramadan Kareem to everyone. Kent has always been a very controversial figure. He was widely believed to be a white supremacist. He was into conspiracy theories. He claimed that the FBI was involved in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, and many considered him to have both anti-Muslim and anti-Jewish views. Despite this controversy, he was narrowly confirmed for the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. And so many people are not surprised about his resignation. He did come from the part of Trump's supporters who believed that the United States should not be involved in wars in the Middle East. And those people are deeply disappointed that President Trump has gotten involved in a war with Iran where no one has a clear way out.
What does this resignation tell us about divisions inside Washington over this particular conflict?
No one is expecting any other major figures in the administration to resign. The only people who share these views are people like Tulsi Gabbard and Vice President Vance, both of whom spoke publicly in praise of Trump, saying he would not get involved in wars in the Middle East. And yet here we are. It would logically be a career-ending move for either one of them to break publicly with President Trump over this. I suspect that this is going to seem useful to President Trump's opponents, but many of them will be uncomfortable with Kent's other views. And so apart from people like Tucker Carlson, who share Kent's thinking on many issues, you won't find much support for Kent's way of thinking about this.
Thomas, I think it's fair to say that we've had somewhat mixed messages from Donald Trump since the start of this conflict. Are we any clearer as to what the US is actually trying to achieve in Iran right now? And do you think that the Trump administration has somewhat underestimated Iran and its strategy in this war?
Well, as your previous segment just explained, President Trump went into this war without the support of allies and without support from the American people, and he hasn't been very vigorous about trying to win support from either one. And so this obviously is a problem. The other big challenge is going to be the strategy they're pursuing, where he wants to see major changes in Iran's policies: no nuclear program, no enrichment of uranium, no support for proxy armies, and so on, is going to be very difficult as long as the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps is calling the shots, which is even more apparent today with the death of some of the senior leaders that you just mentioned. And so what this could lead to is Trump offering a ceasefire in a few days or a couple of weeks, and then we'll have to see if Iran's leaders accept it. If not, the war would resume. If so, and if the Iranians try to resume production of a nuclear weapon, then we could find ourselves in another round of military strikes in a few months.
And I did want to ask you, Thomas, given your experience in counterterrorism and regional strategy, just how sustainable is the current US approach as this conflict continues to expand across multiple fronts?
Well, both Iran and the United States are succeeding in their offensive objectives, but the question is, can either one of them sustain a defense for very long? Decapitation strikes are clearly a part of the Israeli and American strategy. And to some extent, this could eventually lead to someone who might want to work with President Trump rather than continue to fight a war of attrition. Equally, Iran is trying to fight a war of attrition, especially against the Gulf states, and it's not clear how long that will last. The United States is slow to deal with the problem of getting oil out of the Strait of Hormuz. But the reality is the United States is less dependent on Gulf oil than any other country in East Asia, where China, India, and South Korea are deeply dependent upon Iranian, Saudi, and Gulf oil. This is one reason why Trump is so frustrated. He doesn't understand why countries that need this oil aren't doing more to secure their own oil supplies. So this situation can continue for another couple of weeks, but it will be hard to tell who will blink first.
Thomas, really appreciate your time and your analysis. Thank you so much for speaking to us here at TRT World.
You're welcome.